Hello, trading has closed on August 25th, 2021. We always begin with our disclaimer. It's my trading plan for Thursday, August 26th, 2021. Remember, I can be completely wrong and all trades should be at your own risk. We always review what we said. We said the pattern should have the early low, which is this. Tomorrow should have the early high. Thought we had a negative pattern. I said unless we overtook the high, unless we gapped and overtook the high, we should see lower prices regardless of how we closed. We did gap, we did overtake the high, and the only question is, was it prompt? I never really defined it precisely, but I've said in the past that if we do rally without a sizable drop under yesterday's close, that was probably prompt enough, but somebody wants to claim this took too much time, wasn't really prompt. I really can't argue with them. If we dropped, we had some lower targets, but they didn't have to print. We never got anywhere near this 44.7340, which didn't have to print. And I said if we dropped, we might get a fib retracement, and then I confused it with a MEJT target 100 points under that. So let's see if I can improve on the performance today. We have a new target, 4491.09. Unless we gap and take out today's high promptly, that's my call for tomorrow. The morning pattern says this is a false move. Prices should retrace. Said this drop in the afternoon was false. We gave it back. Said this rally was false. We gave that back. I'm always a bit leery when you see a long intraday consolidation like this. First move out of it tends to be a false move. Now, is this first move the false one or this move the false one? You can't really tell. And there is a wall into the close, so you certainly can't rule out gapping, taking out this high. But there are some other things not to like about today's action, even though we hit a new all-time high. This is 3 days straight. We've gapped up, rallied early, and sold off late. This is a pattern recognized years ago by Stan Weinstein. He interpreted this as retail customers going long early, and then when they're all at work and there's no one left to play but the pros, they sell off into the close. Doesn't mean you have to drop the next day, but it tends to be a sign of retail accumulation and professional distribution. Let's look at some other things. We have to give up on this count because that's just too much of just too much away from these fibs for me. So let's see what else we can come up with. Now, I don't know if this is the right count or not, but if this is A and that's B, you've got C equal to A right at today's high. And if you want to look at these internal fibs, they all work. Let's take a look at this last rally up. Here was this big sell-off. I'm calling this A and that B. And once again, C equals A right at the top, and you can even count 5 waves up. So this doesn't mean it's the only count, but there is fib resistance here. If you're a bull, what you want to do is invalidate this count by taking out these highs early. If you don't take them out early, the fibs are all lined up. Tomorrow's pattern has the early high with good gap down. Typically it's a rally day with a final hour high. Failure is a straight line drop. It's like that old nursery rhyme. There was a girl with a curl right in the middle of her forehead. When she was good, she was very, very good, and when she was bad, she was horrid. If we do drop from here, not saying we will, but if we do, it can be quite steep. For the third day in a row, we gapped up, hit a higher high, closed under intraday highs. That pattern's negative, and the fact that it repeated is a sign of early buying by retail customers and late selling by professionals. It doesn't require an immediate drop, but there is a lower MEJT target. Unless we gap up smartly, it should print. The rally's been unrelenting. Attempts to call tops have failed repeatedly. We now have one more case of a perfect wave balance at today's high. New all-time highs accompanied by continued weakness in breadth, extreme optimism, and sentiment readings. Today's pattern usually leads to a rally, but if it does not, the drop from here could be steep. Though I'm reluctant to call a top here. Some people I really respect are calling for much higher prices. They might be right. Until we reverse, you can't be sure. But if, and that's underlined, if we drop right from the open, one should be aware if a top does form here, there's a count which explains it. And if that count is the right count, it should be a steep drop. Bulls need to rally early and clear today's high if the advance is to continue. Because we have lots of ABs, because we've got all kinds of A equals C patterns right at the high here. So tomorrow has the early high. Usually it's rally, but if it's bad, it's going to be horrid. And I think we'll find out soon enough. And that is today's call.